Welcome back to The Clean Truth by Roobi.
It is great to be back.
Today we are diving into our 12th deep dive, and we've titled this one, What Stays Behind? The Hidden Residue Problem in Everyday Cleaning. And I have to say, looking at the research we've pulled for this, it's a little unsettling. I think we all have that routine, right? Saturday morning, you're scrubbing the counters, wiping things down. You want that sparkle.
It's almost a ritual.
It is. And the goal is always hygiene. We want to protect our families from germs, bacteria, the grime of the week. Our homes are supposed to be sanctuaries.
Right. It's this instinctive drive.
Yeah.
We have this deep-seated association that if something looks clean, it must be safe.
Totally.
If it shines, and especially if it smells like a lemon grove or a pine forest,
Yeah.
our brain just says, this is safe, this is clean.
But here's the catch, and it is a massive one we're going to unpack today. What if the products we're using to get that clean look? What if they aren't actually disappearing? What if the act of cleaning is actually leaving something more dangerous behind? We're talking about chemical residues that linger on surfaces and hazardous substances just hanging in the air.
And that's the core of it. We think of cleaning as a subtraction process.
Yeah.
You're taking away dirt, taking away germs. But chemically, it's often an addition process.
Try adding things.
You're adding substances to your environment. And the data shows they don't just vanish. I mean, they do vanish into the air, but that's exactly the problem.
To help us get a handle on this, we've pulled some serious evidence. We're looking at a peer-reviewed study highlighted by the Environmental Working Group, or EWG, published in the journal Chemisphere.
And EWG has done some great work here, really bridging the gap between the complex chemistry and what we're actually breathing in our living rooms.
And the headline from it is basically this. Common household products can emit hundreds of potentially hazardous chemicals, specifically volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, and these things aren't just passing through.
No, they hang around.
They hang around. And that's why this matters. It's not just a strong smell for 5 minutes. We're talking about your indoor air quality, your skin, long-term exposure, inside the very place you're supposed to be safest.
Which brings us right back to the Roobi philosophy.
Exactly. We believe that clean shouldn't mean chemically coated. It feels like we've been sold this idea that a clean home has to smell like a chemical factory, but really we should be looking for simpler, more transparent solutions.
Solutions that clean without leaving all that junk behind. Transparency is everything. You can't make an informed choice if you don't know what's in the bottle or, what it leaves behind.
Exactly. So let's take a closer look at what stays behind and how everyday cleaning can be truly clean.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start with this whole idea of the invisible cloud. The study focused on VOCs. Now, we hear that acronym a lot, but can you break down what it actually means for someone who isn't a chemist?
Sure. So volatile organic compounds, VOCs. The organic part just means they contain carbon. The volatile part means they vaporize or become a gas very easily at room temperature.
Okay.
So these chemicals are not stable as liquids. They want to be a gas. When you spray a liquid cleaner, these compounds are just desperate to escape and float around your house.
So basically, if I can smell it, I'm probably inhaling VOCs.
Almost certainly, yeah. That scent isn't magic. It's literally molecules of a chemical entering your nose and interacting with your biology.
That makes the mountain breeze scent sound a lot less appealing all of a sudden. So let's talk about the scope of this EWG study. They didn't just test one random bottle.
No, this was comprehensive. They analyzed 30 different cleaning products, the usual suspects. Multi-purpose sprays, glass cleaners, air fresheners, stuff you probably have under your sink right now.
Okay, so a standard home cleaning kit. And what did they find?
Well, the numbers are frankly staggering. In just those 30 products, the researchers detected a total of 530 unique VOCs.
530. That's not a typo.
Not a typo, 530. Distinct chemical compounds.
That just feels like a massive chemical cocktail to be spraying around my kitchen. But, okay, let me play devil's advocate here. Are all VOCs bad? Like, if I peel an orange, that releases VOCs, doesn't it?
That is a really fair and important point. No, not every VOCs is toxic. Some are just benign natural compounds. But, and this is the key, this study clarified that out of those 530, 193 were identified as hazardous.
Okay, let's unpack that word hazardous, because that can mean a lot of things. What does it mean in this scientific context?
In this context, it's very specific and very serious. These are chemicals identified by regulatory bodies as having the potential for genuine health harms. We're talking about damage to the respiratory system, increased cancer risk, and even developmental and reproductive impacts.
That is terrifying. You grab a bottle of glass cleaner to get a smudge off a mirror, and you could be introducing carcinogens into your bathroom.
And there's this profound irony, isn't there? We've been conditioned by decades of marketing to think that a strong smell equals clean.
Yeah, the smell of clean.
Right, that pie and that lemon. We feel safe. But what you're actually smelling is a cloud of chemicals.
Yeah.
That scent is the VOCs entering your lungs.
So the smell of clean is actually the smell of pollution.
In many, many cases, yes.
Yeah.
It's a sensory trick. We've equated a chemical signal with hygiene when true cleanliness usually has no smell at all.
I want to pivot to where this pollution goes.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people, myself included, think, okay, I spray something, maybe I cough a bit, but then I open a window, and once it's dry, the chemicals are gone.
That's a very common and very dangerous assumption. The study points out that while VOCs affect both indoor and outdoor air, the concentration inside is the real worry.
How much of a worry?
Generally speaking, indoor air is contaminated 2 to 5 times more than outdoor air.
2 to 5 times, even if you live in a city with traffic.
Yes, and some estimates put it as high as 10 times more, depending on the house. Think about it. We build our homes to be energy efficient now. We seal them up tight.
Right. Great for the heating bill.
Terrible for ventilation. If you release these chemicals inside a sealed box, they have nowhere to go. You're basically trapping yourself in there with them.
And the study mentions this isn't a quick thing. This is what really blew my mind, the linger effect.
Right. Some of these products can emit VOCs for days, weeks, or even months after you've used them.
Months? How is that even possible? If the liquid is dry, where is the chemical coming from?
It's a process called adsorption, with a D. The chemicals settle into porous surfaces, your drywall, your carpet, your sofa, even dust particles. They get trapped. Then, over time, they re-release back into the air. It's called off-gassing.
So wait, even if I cleaned 3 weeks ago, I could still be breathing in the residue from that while I'm just sitting here watching TV.
Exactly. You aren't just touching the residue, you're breathing it. It becomes part of the background environment of your home.
That just shifts the perspective completely. It's not about, oh, I got a little on my hand, let me wash it off. It's this continuous, invisible exposure. And I imagine this affects some people more than others. Who's most at risk?
The source material is very clear on this. First, you have to look at people who do this for a living. Workers in the cleaning industry. They're immersed in this cloud for 8 hours a day.
And what kind of health outcomes are we seeing there?
The data is pretty stark. A 50% higher risk of asthma and a 43% higher risk of COPD. And for women in the field, there's an increased risk of lung cancer.
That is heartbreaking. They're trying to make spaces safe for others and are literally sacrificing their own lung health to do it.
It is. And then there are the children. Their systems are still developing. They breathe more air per pound of body weight. The study notes that using certain cleaners during pregnancy or in infancy is linked to a greater risk of asthma and wheezing in childhood.
That hits home. You're preparing the nursery for a new baby, you're scrubbing everything, thinking you're doing the absolute best thing, and you might actually be setting them up for respiratory problems.
It's a cruel paradox. The very instinct to protect your child through cleaning could, if you're using the wrong products, inadvertently expose them to harm.
So this naturally leads to the question everyone is probably yelling right now. What about the green products? The aisle is full of them. Natural, eco-friendly. Is that just marketing, greenwashing? Or does the science back it up?
This was one of the most fascinating parts of the analysis. They didn't just lump everything together. They specifically compared conventional products to those marketed as green.
What's the verdict?
Generally speaking, the green label does mean something. The study found that green products emitted about half the number of VOCs compared to the conventional ones.
Okay, so a 50% reduction. That's good. That's a real start.
It's a significant improvement, for sure. If you have to choose between a standard bright blue cleaner and a green one, the green one is statistically a better choice for your air. But
I knew there was a but. There's always a but.
There's a crucial piece of nuance here, and it all boils down to one word. If you take nothing else away from this, remember this word: fragrance.
Fragrance.
The hidden enemy.
So the researchers broke the data down even further. They looked at the average number of hazardous chemicals per product. For conventional products, the average was 22.
22 hazardous chemicals, got it.
For green products that still had fragrance, so it says plant-based but smells like lavender, the average dropped to 15.
Okay, so better, but 15 is. I mean, it's not zero. It's still a chemical cocktail.
Exactly. It's an improvement, but it's not the solution. But here's the game changer. When they looked at green products that are also fragrance-free, the average number of hazardous chemicals dropped to just 4.
Wow. From 22
Yeah.
down to 4. That is a massive, massive difference. We're talking green, fragrance-free products produced nearly 8 times fewer VOC emissions than the conventional stuff.
That is the actionable nugget right there. The green label helps, but fragrance-free is the real hero. It feels like we're just addicted to the idea that clean has to have a smell.
We are. And the data is screaming at us that the safest clean is the one that smells like nothing. And this really validates what we discuss about transparency. The word fragrance on a label is a catch-all term.
Right, it's a loophole, isn't it? It just says parfum or fragrance.
Exactly. And legally, manufacturers can hide hundreds of individual chemicals under that one word because it's a trade secret. They don't have to tell you what's making the Mountain Spring smell.
So the secret recipe is where all these VOCs are hiding.
A huge portion of them, yes.
Yeah.
So when you choose fragrance-free, you're not just avoiding a scent, you're removing this giant, unknown chemical load. You're removing the mask.
This connects so perfectly to the Roobi philosophy. We talk about the clean truth. Hiding hundreds of chemicals under one word is, well, it's the opposite of truth.
It is. The study suggests simplicity correlates directly with safety. Fewer ingredients, no added scents. But there's another layer here. We've been talking about inside your home, but these chemicals don't just stay there forever.
You mean the environmental impact?
Yes. The study highlights that VOCs from consumer products are a huge contributor to outdoor air pollution.
Wait, hold on. My kitchen spray contributes to smog.
It does. A study from 2018 estimated that half of the VOCs responsible for air pollution now come from consumer products.
Half. That is shocking. I always think of smog coming from cars, factories, power plants.
We all do. But we've gotten a lot better at regulating those things, catalytic converters, smokestack scrubbers. As those sources get cleaner, the relative impact of what we spray in our homes has just gotten bigger and bigger.
That makes a story amount of sense.
So when you open your window to ventilate, which you absolutely should do, those fumes go outside. They react with sunlight and other compounds, and they form ozone and fine particulate matter, smog.
So it's a double whammy. You pollute your living room and then you pollute your neighborhood.
Exactly. It connects your personal health directly to environmental health. By choosing simpler, fragrance-free products, you're not just protecting your own lungs, you are literally lowering the chemical burden on the planet.
That really drives home the mission. This isn't just about a different kind of soap. It's about changing a whole mindset. Simplicity wins.
Transparency wins, and safety wins.
So let's get practical. We've thrown a lot of scary stats at everyone. 22 hazardous chemicals, the linger effect, outdoor smog. Let's leave people with solutions. Based on these EWG guidelines, what can you do right now?
The first and maybe easiest step is ventilation. It sounds so simple, but it is absolutely crucial. If you're cleaning, open a window, turn on a fan. You have to dilute that concentration of VOCs.
Don't trap yourself in the chemical box.
Exactly. Even if it's cold out, just crack a window. The second tip is about technique. This is something almost everyone does wrong.
Okay.
Most people grab a bottle and just spray it everywhere, right? Into the air, onto the surface from a distance.
The classic spray and pray.
Right. When you do that, you're aerosolizing the chemicals. You're creating a fine mist of tiny droplets that's so much easier to inhale deep into your lungs. You're creating that cloud.
So what's the alternative?
The EWG says to spray the product directly into your sponge or your cloth, not into the air.
Oh, that makes total sense. You're keeping the liquid contained to the tool, not turning your kitchen into an atmospheric event.
Exactly. It massively reduces the amount of chemicals that become airborne. It keeps the cleaner on the surface where it's supposed to be.
And finally, selection. We've hit on this, but it bears repeating because it's the biggest change you can make.
Flip the bottle over. Look for robust third-party certifications. The EWG has their own, EWG Verified, which is a great standard. But the golden rule from this study is just opt for fragrance-free.
If it promises to make your house smell like a field of flowers, put it back.
Unless you're bringing actual flowers into your house, yes. Stick to the unscented options.
I love that. It's such a simple filter to use. Does this have a smell? Yes. Okay, pass.
It simplifies things so much.
Right.
And honestly, once you switch, your nose kind of resets. You start to realize how overwhelming those artificial scents were, and you appreciate the smell of, well, nothing, just clean air.
So, to recap everything we've talked about, a truly clean home should not come at the cost of your air quality or your health. That residue isn't just a streak on the mirror. It's in the air you breathe, and it's drifting out your window.
That's the reality. But it is a reality we have control over. We can make better choices. We can choose products that just do the job without the chemical showmanship.
I want to encourage you to take 5 minutes after this. Go to your cleaning cabinet, flip over the bottles, read the labels, and just ask yourself, am I choosing a clean smell or am I choosing actual cleanliness? The data shows there is a huge difference.
And remember that difference. Every time you choose a green, fragrance-free product, you're reducing that hazardous chemical count from an average of 22 all the way down to 4. That's a real tangible impact.
I want to leave you with one last thought to mull over. We usually think of pollution as something out there, smokestacks, traffic, industrial waste. But if we know that our cleaning products contribute to half of the VOCs in outdoor smog, do we need to completely redefine our definition of pollution to start inside our own broom closets?
The powerful question. The solution might literally be right in our hands.
Thanks for listening to The Clean Truth by Roobi. We'll see you next time.